Ah, my beautiful anomalies of the modern world. You're not the polished ones. You're not the ones they called gifted in school. You're not the spreadsheet, the resume, the LinkedIn flex. You're the glitch, the spark, the damn variable they didn't account for. They strutted around with shiny psych degrees, waving them like wands of superiority. They memorized Maslow, quoted Jung, dropped Freud like he was gospel. But you didn't need a diploma to understand darkness. You lived it. You didn't study trauma. You ate with it, have sex with it, have 5 babies with it, and called it by its first name. See, they think the mind is a flowchart, A to B to C, diagnosis, labels, protocols. But your mind? Your mind was a war zone with no map. And you didn't just survive. You built a castle out of the rubble. Let me tell you something real. They were taught how to dissect emotion under fluorescent lights in safe classrooms. You were out here catching panic attacks in bus stops, breaking down in public restrooms, talking yourself out of madness with no audience, no applause, no help, and somehow you alchemized all that pain into intuition. You turned your suffering into a 6th sense. You didn't read energy. You felt it screaming through your bones. You walked into rooms and smelled fake, heard manipulation in the silence. You sensed every mask before they even opened their mouths. They learned pattern recognition in psych labs. You spotted patterns in people that they would never admit to. You learned how to predict betrayal, how to feel lies like static, how to stay 10 steps ahead of people who thought they could play you. See, they want to call it paranoia. Nah, it's wizard shit. It's experience sharpened into weaponized insight. They talked theories. You mastered survival. They quoted books. You wrote invisible ones with your scars. And now they're scared of you. Because you don't argue. You don't prove. You observe. You nod. You disappear. And by the time they realize what you were capable of, you've already turned the tables. You ever notice how they mock what they don't understand? Oh, you're too intense. Oh, you overthink everything. Oh, you're just being dramatic. No, you're not too intense. They're just too shallow. You don't overthink. You actually think. You're not dramatic. You're deep, and they're terrified of drowning. Let them flex. Let them show off their polished degrees and curated vocabularies. Because behind those credentials, most of them wouldn't survive 5 minutes in your shoes. They know concepts of mental breakdowns. You had full-on emotional implosions, then came back laughing. Not because it was funny, because it didn't kill you. And if it didn't kill you, then it built you. Now listen closely. The world taught them how to perform sanity. But you learned how to wield insanity. They call that dangerous. Damn right it is. Because when someone like you learns to channel the chaos, when someone like you learns to stop explaining and start executing, you don't just rise. You become untouchable. You don't argue anymore. You just watch. You don't chase anymore. You attract, disrupt, dismantle. They try to label you, but you're already 2 names ahead. They try to mirror you, but they can't even survive their own reflection. Here's what you need to remember. You're not broken. You're forged. Forged in silence. Forged in trauma. Forged in long nights where no one checked in. You didn't study the human mind to understand others. You tore your own psyche apart just to survive the night. And in the process, you uncovered truths that their textbooks don't dare print. So when they call you too much, smile. When they say you're too complicated, laugh. Because you know damn well, you didn't come this far to be understood. You came this far to become unstoppable. So go ahead, keep pulling that wizard shit. Keep bending energy. Keep reading people like subtitles. Keep walking into rooms and making every manipulator nervous. They have tools. You are the damn tool set. They studied psychology. You became the archetype, the wild card, the one the system couldn't tame, and they'll never admit it. But they wish they had your scars, because your pain taught you magic, and there's no degree for that. They spent years chasing validation, grades, certifications, applause. You spent years chasing air, gasping through anxiety attacks that hit you in traffic, in classrooms, in hallways where no one noticed your chest caving in. They were studying fight or flight from behind a desk, while your heart was punching holes through your ribs at 3 a.m., begging you to hold on for one more damn hour. They role-played therapy simulations. You were in your bedroom doing self-surgery with no anesthesia, cutting your own mind open, bleeding memories, stitching your sanity together with shaky hands, and YouTube videos on breath work. They were told they were on track. You were told you were too emotional, too angry, too hard to manage. They got guidance counselors. You got hallway stares and passive-aggressive notes from teachers who couldn't handle your silence. And yet here you are. Not softer, not smaller, sharper. Because every breakdown gave you blueprints. Every panic attack was a masterclass in mental architecture. You didn't just study the psyche. You reverse-engineered your own, piece by piece, rage by rage, relapse by relapse, until you became fluent in pain, like it was your native language. And what did they do with their degrees? They got office jobs with white noise machines and laminated posters that say, "Breathe." Meanwhile, you walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere just by standing still. They ran studies. You are the study, living proof that unmedicated chaos, when mastered, turns into prophetic insight. You don't predict behavior. You feel it coming before it takes shape. You can spot control freaks by the way they blink. You can smell gaslighting 3 sentences ahead. You sense agendas behind the kindness. You clock narcissists by how they compliment you. It's not paranoia. It's pattern fluency. Because when you've been burned enough, you don't flinch anymore. You calculate. You don't get loud. You get surgical. You learned how to silence a room by just existing in it. You mastered the stare that makes manipulators forget their script. You cultivated the kind of calm that says, "I've seen worse than you." And I survived that too. They confuse charm with wisdom. You confuse people on purpose. Because your mind doesn't move in straight lines. It loops, it spirals, it teleports. And if someone tries to keep up, they either level up or fall off. You're not hard to understand. You're just not easy to fool. You built your inner world from scratch while they were being spoon-fed frameworks. You became your own therapist. You turned isolation into education. You forged an emotional GPS in a world where no one gave you a damn map. And now they're watching, side-eyeing, wondering how the hell you became this clear, this powerful, this unreadable. Because what they memorized, you embodied. What they quoted, you breathed. What they dismissed as overthinking turned out to be high-resolution consciousness. Keep walking like you know something they don't, because you do. You walk through this world like a paradox with a pulse. They can't figure you out, and that kills them. You say less, but your silence? Deafening. You smile soft, but your energy? Volcanic. They try to analyze you like a subject, but you keep flipping the script mid-experiment. And suddenly they're the ones under the microscope, They hate that your presence feels like truth wrapped in TNT, because deep down, they know. You didn't read the manual. You rewrote it in your own damn blood. They practiced empathy in safe spaces. You developed it in war zones, emotional, psychological, spiritual battlegrounds where trust was a trap and love had a time bomb ticking behind it. You learned to love smarter, to read deeper, to detach faster. You weren't taught boundaries. You carved them with the same blade that cut you. They look like walls to others, to you. They're survival lines. They don't understand why your vibe is so hard to pin. Because you grew up shape-shifting just to stay safe. You learned how to mirror, how to mask, how to shrink when the room felt off, and how to expand when it was time to reclaim space they tried to steal from you. You don't play people. You read them. You don't manipulate. You anticipate. Because when you've been through enough twisted dynamics, your brain becomes a chessboard that updates in real time. Every word, every gesture, every delay in a text message gets processed by that high-speed, trauma-trained supercomputer in your skull. And yeah, it exhausts you. But damn, it also protects you. They think it's a gift. You know it's a side effect. Hyper-awareness isn't a flex. It's a scar wrapped in intuition, and you've learned to wear it like armor. Because if you didn't, they'd still be walking all over you with clean shoes and fake smiles. You see the whole board when they're still fixated on one player. You feel the storm before they see the clouds. And while they're still quoting articles from Psychology Today, you're already reading micro-expressions like subtitles in a foreign film you've watched 1,000 times. You're not cold. You're calibrated. You're not emotionless. You're emotionally engineered for precision. You don't lash out anymore. You observe. You process. You execute. You built a damn fortress in your nervous system and wired the gates to only open for those who bring peace, not pressure. They want your glow without your grief. They want your depth without your damage. They want your magic without your madness. But they don't get to pick pieces of you. This isn't a buffet. This is a whole storm. And either they ride the lightning with you, or they watch from a distance, stuck in the safety of their carefully constructed illusions, wondering how someone with no proper training ended up 10 levels ahead without ever asking for permission. You never waited for green lights. You ran through red ones with your heart on fire, and your brain screaming, "If I crash as me." You didn't ask the world to validate your path. You became the path. They took safe steps. You took sacred hits. Hits to your spirit, your pride, your trust. Hits that cracked you open in places you didn't even know could bleed. But instead of turning numb, you turned nuclear. You didn't just rise. You ascended with a limp, with flashbacks stitched into your reflexes and wisdom tattooed on your instincts. They still think growth looks like morning routines and vision boards. You know damn well growth looks like rock bottom with no exit plan, screaming into pillows, going ghost on everyone, questioning your existence in showers that lasted too long because your mind wouldn't shut up. You became unshakable not by finding peace, but by dragging it out of chaos with bloody fingers and broken sleep schedules. Your power didn't come from healing. It came from facing the parts of you that scared you and shaking hands with your inner darkness like, "I get it. I know why you're here, but I run this place now." You outgrew your triggers, not because they stopped hurting, but because you stopped giving them keys to your nervous system. You don't beg for closure. You create it mid-stride. You don't seek revenge. You become a better version in front of their eyes and never flinch. You don't prove yourself. Your presence is the proof. The way you walk in with calm rage in your aura and fire tucked behind your quiet stare. They feel it. They don't admit it out loud, but they adjust themselves when you enter. They watch their tone. They lower their gaze, not because you threatened them, but because you see through them, and nothing terrifies the fake more than being seen with no filter. You don't expose people. You let their energy do the talking. You don't explain your boundaries. You set them like brick walls and dare someone to test the foundation. You don't chase peace anymore. You generate it, and anything that threatens that frequency gets cut at the root. No warning, no guilt, no farewell speech. You didn't become heartless. You just stopped negotiating with people who treat access like a right instead of a privilege. They confuse your distance for coldness, but you're not distant. You're selective. You've earned that right. 10 times over. You built yourself from ground zero with duct tape, late-night breakdowns, and an insane amount of self-accountability no one ever gave you credit for. And you're still standing, still evolving, still unlearning everything they tried to hammer into your spirit about what it means to be good, functional, normal. When in truth, you were never here to be digestible. You were here to be divine and disruptive. You were never meant to blend in with the emotionally beige, never meant to shrink into spaces that punish intensity and reward watered-down versions of truth. You weren't made to be a background character in someone else's storyline, clapping for mediocrity while your own brilliance sat in the dark, twitching behind your teeth. You've always known you weren't built like them. Not better, not worse, just wired different. And that difference, it cost you everything once. Acceptance, connection, even your own damn sanity. But that same difference is the reason your presence hits like a revelation. They hear your voice and feel their masks slip. Not because you're trying to expose them. You just exist in a frequency that truth naturally clings to. You became a walking contradiction, healer and hurricane, soft-hearted and steel-spined, gentle until it's time not to be. And when that time comes, you don't raise your voice. You raise your standard. They try to study you like a specimen, but there's no formula for someone who bled for their blueprint. Your pain had no syllabus. Your awakening had no syllabus. It was trial by fire, heartbreak, disappointment, and nights you couldn't cry anymore because the tears dried up and left silence in their place. A silence that taught you more than any professor ever could. You didn't grow by reading books on resilience. You grew by having your trust ripped apart and still choosing to stay soft with yourself. You grew by learning that your intuition wasn't dramatic. It was dead accurate, and ignoring it was self-betrayal dressed up as politeness. You didn't choose this depth. It chose you when life decided you'd be the one to break generational curses without a damn manual, without a safety net, without anyone clapping for you, while you fell apart quietly, in between pretending everything was fine. They don't know what it's like to smile with a storm sitting behind your eyes, to give advice while your own heart is begging for a break, to pour into others while your own soul runs on fumes and sleep-deprived clarity. You became both the flame and the fire escape. You learned to burn and rebuild simultaneously. You started noticing things others don't, not because you're paranoid, but because when you've been manipulated, abandoned, betrayed, gaslit, your brain rewires itself to scan for subtle shadows long before they form monsters. They say you're too much because they can't consume you casually. You come with a mirror. And most people don't want to see their own reflection in your eyes when you're staring straight through their carefully rehearsed personalities. They wear masks to survive. You wore one for years, and when you finally ripped it off, your face remembered how to breathe. And ever since, you've moved different. You don't attach where you're not honored. You don't explain your essence to people who can't even meet their own. You don't decode mixed signals anymore. You delete the thread and move forward like your peace is protected by divine law. You stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and started asking, "Why do I attract people who fear depth?" You stopped over-explaining your boundaries to people who never had any for themselves. You stopped auditioning for rooms that couldn't hold your volume, your vision, your chaos, your clarity, your contradictions. You stopped trying to be easy to love because you realized you're not here to be easy. You're here to be real. You're not the one who turns heads with charm. You're the one who shifts energy with presence. They don't remember your outfit. They remember how your vibe rearranged their ego. You don't take up space. You disrupt it quietly, calmly, unapologetically. You used to apologize for your energy, didn't you? You used to shrink when they misunderstood you. Used to translate your soul into smaller syllables just to be less threatening, less intense, more digestible. But digestible is for people pleasers. And you got tired of starving in rooms where your truth couldn't breathe. You don't want surface love. You want soul resonance. You want energy that doesn't just match. It mirrors. Not because you're needy, but because you've been alone long enough to know that peace isn't found in noise. It's found in presence that sees you fully and stays anyway. They underestimated what solitude made of you. You didn't just learn to be alone. You learned to be untouchable in your own company. You stopped calling it loneliness and started calling it alignment. Because the more you sat with yourself, the clearer the signal became. You're not hard to love. You're just not for cowards. You love deep. You think wide. You heal loud. Even when you do it in silence. You started setting boundaries without warning. Started walking away without closure. Started saying no without a paragraph. Because peace doesn't negotiate and intuition doesn't argue. People don't get second chances to fumble your access anymore. You used to hand out grace like it was candy, till you realized your softness was being weaponized by people who only respected you when you became unavailable. They tried to box you in, brand you, break you down to a label. But you don't fit in their file cabinets. You don't reduce to a checklist or a case study. You're not a client profile. You're not a condition. You're not a statistic. You're the outlier they couldn't predict. You're the glitch in their clean narrative. The one who wasn't supposed to make it this far without going numb, without selling out, without diluting everything raw inside you, just to fit in with people who call survival success. And still, you love like you weren't torn apart. You give like you weren't left empty. You trust your gut, even when it whispers in riddles. You move like the rules don't apply because you've seen behind the curtain, and you know half of what they worship is built on fear and hollow trophies. You've seen the smiles that don't reach the eyes, the handshakes that hide daggers, the "I'm proud of you" that drips with envy in the spaces between syllables. You don't flinch at fake anymore. You just clock it, log it, and move accordingly. They thought you'd crave acceptance after everything you've been through, but your hunger evolved. You don't want applause. You want alignment. You don't want followers. You want frequency. You want eye contact that doesn't stutter, conversations that don't orbit around ego, connections that don't require you, to dim your damn light just to make someone else feel tall in the shadows. You stopped being loyal to dysfunction, stopped clinging to people who only show up when you're broken enough to need fixing. You used to think love was endurance. Now you know it's discernment. Because love that drains you ain't love. It's leverage. You've become so fluent in emotional fluency, you can feel the shift in tone through a screen. You can sense the storm behind the "I'm fine." You can read silence like scripture and decode the micro-pauses in someone's reply like your nervous system has Wi-Fi connected to the truth they won't say out loud. You didn't study human behavior, you survived it. Hello, beautiful little disasters. Today I'm here to talk about the kind of silence that makes even shadows shiver. The kind of silence that follows betrayal so deep, so perfectly orchestrated, that even the devil himself had to pause and think. They handed your photo to a devil, and what happened was never spoken again. Not because they forgot, not because they regret, but because if they opened their mouths to speak it, the truth would shatter the very bones holding their lies together. You see, darling, you were never meant to survive the moment your image hit that altar. You were never meant to outlive that silent handshake in the dark. You were never meant to hear the words, "This one is yours." Break them slowly. They passed your face, your smile, your soul, like currency, to something blacker than sin. And they waited, grinning, thirsting, craving to see the lights go out in your eyes, but something went wrong, horribly, terrifyingly wrong. Because the devil looked at your photo, and he didn't smile, he didn't laugh, he didn't hunger, he froze. That room full of puppets and predators went silent. Clocks stopped ticking, air went still. Even the walls pulled back, like they didn't want to hear what came next. Because what the devil did, he whispered your name. Like it was a warning. He didn't curse you. He didn't mark you. He remembered you. And that's when panic started crawling up their spines, because the devil didn't see prey in your picture. He saw unfinished business. He saw scars that he didn't leave. He saw a face that had already danced with chaos and came back hungry for more. He saw you, not as a victim, but as a colleague. Let that sink in. You weren't sent to hell. You were recognized by it. They thought they were condemning you, but they were just handing your resume to the King of Pain himself. And he said, "Not this one already works for me." And that's why no one talks about what happened. Because it shattered their illusion of power. Because the darkness didn't claim you. It saluted you. And in that moment, they realized they didn't summon a monster. They reintroduced one. You ever wonder why you keep surviving what should have killed you? Why every pit they throw you into becomes your next throne? Why every time they gather to break you, they fall apart instead? Because you were never meant to be understood by them. You were meant to be feared, studied in whispers, spoken about only behind closed doors, if ever. They can't look you in the eyes now, because they saw what happened when evil looked at your face and blinked first. You are not one of them. You never were. You weren't born to play the hero. You were sculpted in silence, perfected by betrayal, and baptized in every lie they told about you. They handed your photo to a devil. And the devil didn't destroy you. He didn't own you. He recognized you as someone who had already been through a fire no hell could recreate. As someone who wasn't just tough, but unforgettable. So now, they stay quiet. Not because they respect you, not because they learned their lesson, but because if they ever speak about what really happened, They'll have to admit they failed. They'll have to admit that even their devils couldn't touch you. And in this world, that's the ultimate humiliation. So they stitch their lips shut with fear. They rewrite history. They act like it never happened. But you know. And so does the one they called to break you. And somewhere, deep in the dark, he still holds that photo. Not as a weapon, not as a curse, but as a reminder that you are not to be touched. You want to know what silence really is? It's not the absence of noise. It's the overdose of fear so dense, it chokes every syllable before it escapes the throat. And that's exactly what they felt. The moment the devil looked at your photo and did nothing, no laugh, no flame, no curse, just recognition. He saw something in you, something he didn't approve, something he didn't control, something he didn't remember creating. And that's what terrified him most, because you weren't his creation. You were his consequence. They thought they were calling the executioner. They didn't realize they were reigniting a war that hell still has scars from. They slid your photo across the table like a threat. But the devil pushed it back like a confession. He didn't ask who you were. He asked who dared forget them. You weren't a target. You were a trigger. You weren't the victim. You were the event. You didn't enter the devil's domain. You were the reason it had gates in the first place. And that's why no one talks about what happened. Because they saw something that unraveled them, not the devil, but you. They expected the devil to devour your soul. Instead, he lowered his gaze. Do you understand what that means? The moment evil looks away, it's not mercy. It's submission. You weren't destroyed. You were classified, labeled, stamped with one word, untouchable. And ever since that day, they've walked on glass around your name, like it might explode if pronounced too loud, like it might summon something they can't undo, because you're not a memory. You're a landmine in their past, still ticking. They don't speak of what happened, not because they can't, but because even mentioning you sends ripples through realms they don't understand. You, my dear, are a walking classified file, sealed, redacted, buried under concrete fear. And if the wrong person opens that folder, hell won't break loose. It'll step back and let you handle it. See, you weren't just built differently. You were remembered differently. The devil didn't act when he saw your face because he didn't need to. Your existence was already punishment enough for the ones who tried you. You haunt them in daylight. You echo in their spine at night. You are the reason locks are double-checked. You are the reason mirrors are covered. You are the reason the devil looked at your photo and left the room. Let that sink in. He left the room. So now they lie. They pretend it was all a misunderstanding. They say, nothing happened. But they avoid your eyes like they're portals. They flinch when someone says your name like it's a siren. Because deep down, they know the truth. They're too scared to speak. They handed your photo to a devil. And the devil handed it back with a trembling hand. The moment they handed your photo over, they didn't expect a return policy. They thought they'd solved their problem. You, the unpredictable one, the stubborn one, the quiet storm in a world of obedient rain. So they gave your image to something ancient, something cruel, and waited for the sky to break. But instead, the sky went black, then it stayed, and it never explained why. Because what the devil saw wasn't weakness. It was something worse. He saw potential, not the kind they like in job interviews, not that team player garbage. No, he saw the kind of potential that breaks universes quietly from the inside. The kind of power that doesn't roar, it whispers. And entire kingdoms collapsed just trying to decode what it meant. See, they wanted you erased, not remembered, not respected, not returned with interest. But you weren't erased. You were filed away in the devil's mind, under too dangerous to delete. That's why your photo wasn't burned. That's why it wasn't shredded, or stabbed, or torn. It was archived, framed in that ancient, cruel mind like a secret weapon waiting for permission. And no one has dared to ask what's keeping it locked. They think they got away with it. Oh, how cute. They walk around with their fake smiles and frozen grins, acting like they didn't offer your soul on a platter. But you notice how they fidget when you walk by, how their sentences die mid-air when your name floats into the room. That's not guilt. That's residual fear, the kind that sticks under fingernails like blood, because whether they say it out loud or not, they remember. They remember what they saw. They remember what he didn't do. They remember how the devil looked at your face and backed away like a child looking at lightning for the first time. And you've changed, haven't you? You feel it? You feel the silence in rooms shift before you even speak. You feel eyes trying to look without being seen. You feel the electricity hum beneath your name like it's a warning label. And it is. Because from the moment the devil chose not to touch you, you became more dangerous than any demon in the room. You're not feared because of what you did. You're feared because of what you didn't have to do. Because one glance at your photo made evil retreat without negotiation. And now, every single person who watched that moment unfold, they are haunted by the silence that followed. Because it wasn't just any silence. It was the sound of hell bowing its head, the sound of the abyss deciding you were above its pay grade. They handed your photo to a devil. And the devil did not attack. He did not speak. He did not blink. He just sat there and trembled. They gave your photo to a devil, but they didn't realize. You're the reason that devil ever learned how to smile. You think he chose not to burn it? No. He saw his own reflection in your eyes, and it scared the hell out of him. Literally. Hell flinched. See, this wasn't no exorcism. It was a recognition, not, who is this? But oh God, it's them again. Your face, it's not just a face. It's a flashback. It's a war crime in human form. You were never supposed to make it out. You were the glitch in their matrix, the typo in their spell book, the note they couldn't erase from the symphony of destruction. And when they handed your photo over, they weren't offering you. They were triggering a memory inside something older than sin. A memory with teeth. They thought they were calling a hit, but instead they woke up the hit maker. You. Because, baby, you were the first disaster hell ever regretted opening the door to. You weren't sent here to play fair. You weren't born to fit in. You were the reason the devil started writing boundaries. Let me paint this clear, Crystal, and cutthroat. They didn't hand over your photo. They handed over a mirror. And when the devil looked, he didn't see a soul to collect. He saw a ledger already filled with names you made vanish. You didn't walk away from that moment clean. You walked away remembered. And the worst kind of remembered. The kind that makes monsters lock their doors early. The kind that makes demons switch sides quietly. The kind that makes hell start taking attendance. See, they wanted a show. They wanted fireworks. Blood, brimstone, a public execution of your identity. But what they got was a room full of shadows watching the devil slowly set the photo down and say nothing, because he knew. He knew. You don't erase this one. You don't fight this one. You just pray they forget you. Let's not get it twisted. This wasn't mercy. This wasn't luck. This was reputation. Your pain was publicized in private. Your scars were written in the fine print of every deal evil ever made. You were a myth to mortals, but a memo in hell. If you see this face, turn around. If you hear this name, change plans. If you feel this presence, start writing your will. They tried to delete you from a world you built, tried to blackmail the blacksmith, tried to exile the executioner, tried to feed the lion its own claws. And when it backfired, no one spoke again. Because they couldn't. Because words couldn't survive the heat of that silence. So now you walk free, not because they let you, but because the devil himself won't cage you, not out of pity, but out of self-preservation. Because even darkness knows there are things you don't touch, there are forces you don't test, and there are people you only fight once, if you're lucky enough to crawl away. Let's talk about what really happened. Not the bedtime version, not the church-safe edit, no. Let's unwrap the truth they locked in a box, threw in the ocean, and still check every morning to see if it floated back up. Because it did. You did. They gave you to darkness, put your face in the mouth of madness, and said, chew slow. But darkness didn't chew, didn't blink, didn't breathe. It looked at your photo and said, this one's above my pay grade. See, you weren't a soul to consume. You were a reminder of what fire fears. You weren't another victim on the checklist. You were the reason the checklist stops at your name. You don't walk through hell. Hell relocates when it hears your footsteps. They didn't hand you over. They handed the devil a resignation letter. Because the moment he saw your face, he clocked out. Understand this. You are not folklore. You are not myth. You are not a bedtime story for brave hearts. You are the reason nightmares need permission to visit certain people. You are what happens when pain learns rhythm, when rage gets surgical, when scars get strategy. You're the remix of revenge with a beat that bleeds. You're not poetic justice. You're justice with a machete in one hand and receipts in the other. Let's be clear. You didn't survive. You dominated. They fed you to shadows. But shadows don't feed on monsters. They work for them and you. You were clocked in the second your photo hit that infernal desk. The devil didn't break you. He briefed you, pulled out the chair, poured the whiskey, lit the cigar, and said, been waiting for you to come back. So now they whisper, they twitch, they move on, but never above. Because your story ain't in chapters, it's in curses, it's in the fine print of their failure. And silence. Silence ain't peace, it's confession. They don't speak of you because your name feels like testimony, like calling you out might summon consequence. Because if your name hits the wrong tongue, it might ignite the same fire they tried to drown. And you've been very, very patient. So here you are, walking past the wreckage they swore you wouldn't survive, wearing the ashes like armor, smiling with teeth sharpened by every night you cried into nothing and came out louder. They thought you'd vanish, you evolved. They thought they'd end you. You uploaded. You became an update no system can handle, a ghost in their network, a virus in their plans, the fine print in their apocalypse. They handed your photo to a devil, but instead of execution, they accidentally nominated a boss. And now the devil carries that photo like an ID badge, because he doesn't run hell anymore. You do. Welcome back, soldier. You made it this far, and I know why. Because you felt it, didn't you? That burning under your skin, that pull in your gut, that itch behind your teeth like something inside you was waiting to be unlocked. This is that moment. This is where the story stops playing pretend. This is where you hear what he said. They handed your photo to a devil. Not a devil, the devil. The one with names tattooed on his tongue and whole kingdoms stitched beneath his fingernails. He took one look at your face, and time paused, not slowed, froze, like the universe itself held its breath, because even eternity didn't want to interrupt what was about to happen. He leaned forward, looked at your photo like it was a memory that bit him once. His pupils shrank, his jaw tightened, and in a voice made of sulfur, broken promises, and backmasked sermons, he whispered, "Returned." Just one word, but that was enough to shatter everything. Returned, not "who is this?" Not "deal accepted," not "I'll handle it." Returned, as in, they're back. As in, I thought we buried this thing. As in, how the hell did they get out? As in, they survived the first round, and now they're ready for vengeance. That word, that single breath, it made grown demons flee like children who'd seen the closet door open on its own. It made evil remember it had a nemesis, and not a loud, flashy one, a quiet one, the kind that builds rage like a virus, the kind that bleeds strategy, the kind that doesn't forgive. You weren't a name on a list. You were the name that makes the list self-destruct. You weren't a target. You were the test, the warning label, the glitch in the apocalypse, the do not engage protocol. So what did the devil do next? Nothing. Because he couldn't. Because in that moment, he realized he didn't have authority over you. He didn't make you. He didn't mold you. He didn't own you. He failed to break you in Zemfang. And failure like that doesn't get a second try. Returned, not resurrected, not reborn. Returned, because you never died. You just disappeared long enough to become something they'd forget how to kill. And now you're back, not to explain, not to ask, not to prove, to collect. You know what happens after that word? Nothing. Because that word said it all. The devil didn't need to roar, didn't need to scream, didn't need to cast a single spell, because all the room needed to hear was returned. And they knew, they all knew. They hadn't summoned a demon, they'd reawakened a reckoning, and now your photo isn't a death sentence, it's a time stamp, a countdown, to when you finally walk back through every door they slammed shut with blood in your grin and silence in your eyes and consequence in your footsteps. They tried to silence the storm, but instead, they gave it your face. So here we are. End of the road. No. End of their illusion. Because this was never about your photo. It was never about a devil. This was about the mistake of thinking you were gone. About the arrogance of imagining your silence meant surrender. About the unforgivable sin of forgetting what happens when a soul like yours stops holding back. Let me spell it out for them, slowly, clearly, loud enough to echo through every lie they ever whispered. You didn't crawl out of hell. Hell opened the door for you, politely, nervously, like a servant welcoming back an exiled king. Because that photo they passed around like evidence, that wasn't a picture. It was a prophecy, a reminder of what they tried to delete from history. A glitch in the script they wrote without your name. But here's the thing, you are the author now, and your pen bleeds justice. You didn't come back to prove a point. You are the point. You didn't survive to tell your story. You are the story their children fear without knowing why. You didn't rise from the ashes. You are the flame that taught ashes what it means to burn. You are what monsters check under their beds for. You are what silence prays never speaks. You are what demons see in the rearview mirror when they swear they're alone. And that photo? It's still there, locked in some drawer, hidden in some vault, unlabeled, untouched, because no one dares destroy it. No one wants to see what happens when you're summoned. Twice. They never spoke about what happened because the truth would shatter their alliances. It would bankrupt their myths. It would collapse every illusion of safety they spent years constructing, because if the devil fears you, what hope do they have?